War never changes.
Remember, no Russian.
Did I ever tell you the definition of insanity?
If I'm to choose between a greater and lesser evil, I'd rather not choose at all.
I'm afraid. I don't know what to do.
Everyone I have cared for has either died or left me. Everyone fucking except for you.
Hey there, welcome to Let's Talk Video Games with your host Walter Núñez. So last weekend, Square Enix released a closed beta for the upcoming game Marvel's Avengers. However, this beta was only for the ones who pre-ordered the game on PlayStation 4. After playing the game for around 10 hours, I can say that the game has some brilliant points, but also some that are worrisome. In this episode, I'll give you my impressions of it. The start of the beta is the same thing we've seen in other demos for a while. We got Captain America, Thor, Hulk, Iron Man, and Black Widow fighting on the Golden Bridge. The whole level serves as a combat tutorial and presentation of the Avengers. After that level, we get a new one with Miss Marvel and the Hulk as leading characters. That level fared more ad hoc for the heroes we could use than the Golden Bridge. Also, we got to see more in-depth combat. After that, we got a few more missions. In the end, we got a taste of a more advanced combat on Miss Marvel, the Hulk, Iron Man, and Black Widow. Thor and Captain America were not present for the advanced combat techniques the beta had to offer. So, talking about that, let's move on to the combat system. Combat is one of the main features of the game. It does have an interesting way of coping with having several different superheroes. In early stages of the game, all superheroes feel very similar. All of them have pretty much the same combos. I mean, yeah, they do different stuff, but they all have the same button combination for an attack. All of them have strong attacks and quick attacks. It's pretty much the same, to be honest. Even though some have special characteristics, the actual combat feels similar. Now, the second level does provide a more robust skill tree. It is this RPG feature of being able to unlock new abilities that make each Avenger more unique and give a freshness to the game. The combat is really polished, playing the campaign is fun, interesting, and quite a challenge at times. However, the multiplayer aspect of the game soon turns boring, and I mean really boring. Marvel's Avengers provides the opportunity to choose your favorite Avenger for a mission. The problem is that some missions feel more tailored for specific superheroes. If you do not use that superhero, you get a really repetitive and boring experience. There's also another thing that caught my attention and really frustrated me. The damage you deal with the Hulk's and Black Widow's quick attack is the same. I understand it is for the sake of balancing the game, but it just feels really wrong. I am no expert in balancing in video games, but maybe slowing the Hulk's attacks and speeding Black Widow's could help. In an interview with Crystal Dynamics creative director Sean Skyke, he talked about the combat system. According to him, the beta provided a really fast progression. In the actual game, it will be slower. He explained that the decision of making all superheroes similar in their basic forms was taken because they wanted all players to be able to quickly grab a new one and just start leveling it up. As they level up, they will obtain skill points that will unlock skills that we have not seen yet on the beta. The basic combat system will pretty much be forgotten as soon as you level up enough, being replaced with a more unique experience for each superhero. I personally enjoyed playing as Kamala Khan and the Hulk. Kamala, or Miss Marvel, is an inhuman with stretchy superpowers. She is part of the new Avengers, both on the game and the comic books. She's actually a very likable character in the game. She's cheerful, hopeful, and quite funny, to be honest. And I think that's because she is the youngest of all the Avengers and she is still learning what it means to be a hero. The contrast between the Hulk or Bruce Banner and her is the best thing in the game, narrative wise, or at least the beta. The Hulk is pure destruction, even with the problem I talked about earlier of the no damage difference between his attacks and Black Widow's. He feels like the Hulk from the movies. He's raw power, and he's huge, so that makes him a very easy target too. All in all, a very fun character to play with. Surprisingly, Iron Man is not very likable. It feels like he's trying to kind of force being funny and comes out as cocky, but not the good kind. However, his combat is interesting and fun, especially the flying combination with the normal combat style. Now, I need to address the issue of the multiplayer. The game provides the main campaign, which can be done solo. However, Marvel's Avengers tries to go one step further. Crystal Dynamics and Square Enix are trying to make the game an experience similar to Destiny and The Division 2. You will be able to obtain gear to make your superheroes better, but you will need to grind for that. And that is where the issue really stands, you know? All of the gear you pick up has no cosmetic change in your hero. It's just numbers. What I mean by this is you can get different types of gear for each of your heroes. However, each type of gear has the same purpose in all of them. For example, I don't know, giving them more strength on their basic attacks. Kamala has new wristbands and new shirts, for instance, but all of them provide absolutely no change to the character, to the visually seen character. If you get a new wristband, you will see the same one all over the game. The power is increased in the background, but again, not visually. And the power increase is not that high. I'm talking about upgrades on the single digit realm. You cannot see that you got new powerful gear visually, as I said before, and you do not see it numerically either. Yeah, you do feel it when you're playing it, but you can't actually see it. In a game where developers are hoping that players grind for hours and hours, this seems like a big weakness. The repetitiveness of set missions is quite bad. You go over the mission over and over again with pretty much the same enemies, which are not overly complicated. This could be a beta only issue, but I am not sure. I hope it is though, because the multiplayer could be something nice if done correctly. Crystal Dynamics will probably introduce more Warzone missions, more enemies, and much more stuff to keep the gameplay as fresh as possible. I will be cautious and keep an eye for that though. What I do not take as a beta issue is a problem with randoms on your mission. War zones are missions that are not exactly linear and offer a variety of options, and it is this openness that wreaks havoc on the game with people who have no way of communicating. Doing war zones with friends is super fun and can really give the epic feel of the Avengers, but unless you are with the right people every time you want to play, you will probably suffer in multiplayer. Talking about the multiplayer, there are microtransactions, but thankfully they appear to be cosmetic only. All superheroes have a sort of battle pass, but free apparently. This means that as long as you play with them, you will level up and unlock more stuff. You will even be able to unlock skins. If we talk about world building, the game, at least the beta, does seem quite shallow. All aim facilities look exactly the same. If you've seen one, you've seen them all. The levels are designed in such a similar way that all the fun is quickly finished. You get into a mission and fight your way to the objective with generic enemies. If you want to investigate, you get another swarm of enemies. Grinding is not even fun. One thing that I did like a lot was the general feel of the universe. One thing that I did like a lot was the general feel of the universe. It feels closely related to the comic book universe. As the game was a beta, I encountered several bugs. Some were minor, like walls and objects disappearing, but there were also glitches that stopped me from progressing. I also experienced a frame rate drop when playing in areas with a lot of enemies, which are a lot to be honest. However, this type of stop was to be expected, and will probably be solved in the final release of the game. In the end, Marvel's Avengers left a bittersweet taste on me. On one hand, the single player experience is great. We get a polished combat system with evolutionary skills, but on the other hand, we get a repetitive multiplayer experience with boring grinding for gear that isn't even seen in the gameplay. A lot of these problems can be solved in the final release, even though the game is releasing on September 4. The game has been having a lot of issues outside of the beta. For instance, the fact that Spider Man will be a playable character exclusive for PlayStation. There is also the thing of the exclusive skins for Verizon and probably other cell phone companies. If the game does not solve its problem soon, I don't see Marvel's Avengers becoming the amazing thing it is planned to be. And that would be all for today. Thanks for tuning in, and don't miss tomorrow's episode where we will discuss some really cool stuff that happened in the last few days. For example, the new info on Cyberpunk 2077. Until then, stay safe. Cheers.